Greetings, I am Toglin, Hell's Harlequin, but you may call me Tog. Today we are going to talk about the whole concept of listen and believe. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a reference to if someone makes a sexual assault or rape allegations, you should automatically believe the accuser rather than the accused. Gruntstar, what are your thoughts on such things?
Well, that sounds like innocent until proven guilty to me, and I'm highly against that.
Or you mean guilty till proven innocent?
Yeah. I just said, didn't I? That's why my brain thought.
You said it reversed.
No, did I?
Yeah.
I mean, no. I said it right, yeah. And guilty until proven innocent. That is what listen and believe sounds like to me.
Well, definitely. I was basically, it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. It's just this whole thing with Kavanaugh just kind of reminded me of such, because this whole thing's been a shit show, hasn't it?
I mean, basically, but I think it's funny that it's finally pulling how politics works into the public eye, and people's outrages aren't, I wouldn't say they're not wrong, but they're possibly misplaced on how they feel upset about something, but it's been going on for decades, and they just haven't noticed it.
Hey, people in the chat, I am wondering, can you guys hear Gruntstar okay? Because I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing him myself.
I can try to speak up a bit, I suppose.
Just because I have my speaker at max just to hear him. So I'm just wondering if it's just something on my end or if everyone's having issues with that. No one's saying anything, but I know there's a delay, so. Okay, so it's just something on my end is why I'm having trouble hearing you. That's good.
Yes, that means you don't have to boost my audio, so that is positive.
I don't know how, so, you know. Don't blame me, I'm just a girl. No, what I found really insane is, like, I have a lot of very, very left-leaning, well, not just left-leaning, but, like, insane feminist people on my Facebook. Don't ask me why I'm friends with them. I just am. Just kind of like childhood friends that I just kind of shake my head at when I see their posts. But people have just been ridiculous, haven't they? Like, from what I understand, the allegation was sexual assault, like a pin down and a groping, is from what I understand the allegation was, that may or may not happened at a party, that may or may not happen, that nobody seems to remember but the victim. And people are
convenient.
Like, what's that?
Said very convenient.
Very convenient. But the thing that I find interesting is just the outrage I've been seeing from that circle of things. People are like showing videos of people protesting and saying how rape and assault isn't good and all that kind of stuff. Like this enormous outrage, like the type of outrage that you would think he was accused of gang raping 20 virgins or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, my favorite is, to kind of keep going along with the similar thought of logic, is when a lot of my atheist friends, which nothing against the atheists, but when a lot of them just sit there and listen and believe about this particular case, but that's exactly what they criticize Christians for doing about their faith. So the hypocrisies on all sides are just, they're just funny to laugh at, because I don't think people fully understand how they're being a hypocrite towards this, and why listen and believe can just instantaneously backfire on anyone if that's really their thought process.
Right. Well, I know that one of the arguments is that if, I'm not talking specifically about Kavanaugh. Right now, I'm just bringing this up to talk about the subject in a broader sense, right? But let's say the argument I hear is that it's very stressful for rape victims to go to trial, and it's just a very traumatic experience, and they have to relive these details. So why in the earth would anyone want to lie about such things? Well, you see, that's the thing. It's very stressful for rape victims to go through all that because they have to face their accuser and things like that. If you're lying, you're not going to have the same amount of emotional distress towards this because you're not going to be like suffering that type of PTSD or flashbacks or whatnots, and you're not going to have that same gut reaction of facing the accused. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a much harder process for actual victims than people who are simply lying about it.
Right, and I understand because a lot of people try to white knight, especially with this case, have been trying to white knight her, and I think like in general, people try to white knight the quote unquote victim of these circumstances because they say, "Oh, it's oh so hard for these victims to come out and face their accuser." But why does it always seem like these victims, with big old air quotes, come out when the accuser, such as a famous person, is about to accept an award or has a lot of money all of a sudden? It just always seems convenient when we hear about it on the news.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to agree that a lot of the timing is really, really convenient. And I do have to agree with Straight Sith Male in the comments that not all sexual assaulters are male. That's definitely the case. I'm saying this is abroad for male female because generally Listen to Believe doesn't generally apply to male victims of sexual assault. In that case, then, well, people seem to be far more skeptical. Like, I'm saying this in a broad sense because obviously there's different viewpoints, but we don't necessarily see the level of, I don't know how to put it. It's like a very zealous belief that this person is guilty regardless of the facts because they've been accused, they're guilty. We don't necessarily see that with male victims and female victimizers. I mean, it might be something that I'm missing. Like, I don't know if that is the case. I'd like to see because I haven't seen a high profile case like that, really.
Yeah, I think that has to do with how society, especially American society, views male and views the masculine role and a male role, because it's such a, like, I'm not saying that rape victims are weak or anything, but like that we try to frame this correctly, but that the fact that you're raped is such a we put so much shame on it, even though it shouldn't be a shame that you got raped. It should be like hey, that's a bad thing. We should make sure your sexual assaulter goes to prison or jail or is probably prison. Prison's good if it actually happened. But it's such a shameful thing. We put shame on the person who was raped, that it's even more shameful if a guy got raped because it's like, oh, now you're a little pussy, now you're a little bitch, haha, and people just laugh it away, even though it is a real issue. To kind of drag this into what's been going on with me in school, because I'm in a lot of communications classes. Since one of my communications classes has literally divulged into politics of this case, and I have to hold strong my beliefs because the teacher likes to say her beliefs as a fact. But yeah, I mentioned that because we kept talking about the female raped victim, which, well, statistically is more likely a female will be raped, but she very briefly, oh yeah, men get raped too, but not as much as women, so we're not going to talk about it. And that's the thing.
In prison rape, it's pretty 50-50.
Kind of what?
If you count in prison rape, it's pretty 50-50.
Oh yeah, but no one wants to talk about prison rape, so we'll just sweep that under the rug according to the mainstream news. It's just something that happens. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting because I saw this, one of my Facebook friends posted this thing that was like what was his name? That one that one rich douchebag that's raped a girl behind a dumpster.
Football player?
No, I said he's a rich douchebag, like the college guy. That feminists are like lording, proving that this is male privilege because he only got like 6 months or something really light.
Oh, I think we talked about him, but I cannot remember his name either.
It was a Facebook group that was anti him, and it was talking about how this post that she shared was like how we can prevent rape, and it had like a whole bunch of things, and it did have a male rape victim, but it was a male being victimized by another male. It seems like we've gotten to the point in society that we can talk about male rape victims, but mostly if it's still a male victimizer. So like we're okay now with the concept of male victims, but like I said, only if it's still a male being the victimizer, you know?
All right, we gotta ease into that equality there.
Oh, okay. Brock Turner, that was his name. Somebody in the chat just
Man,
I'm really bad with names. I am terrible with names.
Was he the one where his dad said that he shouldn't go 15 years for like 20 seconds of fun or 20 minutes of fun?
Yeah, that whole thing was disgusting, and like anyone who reads that will say, yeah, he got off light, like really light, because of the fact that I don't think that's male privilege. I think that's rich person privilege.
Yeah, and the rich do tend to get away with a lot of things that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't necessarily believe in male privilege, but I definitely believe in rich person privilege. That's definitely a thing.
Oof. It reminds me when I told someone I don't believe in white privilege. I believe that there's a rich privilege. And they said, no. White privilege is white privilege and rich privilege is rich privilege. I'm like, no. But here we are.
Oh, well, one of the main thoughts I wanted to do in the Listen and Believe is I actually had a bit of an epiphany on that. Like, not necessarily it being a gendered thing, but here's a question for you. Would you rather defend a liar or a rapist?
Oof. I guess I'd defend a liar because at least you could give a reason why you lied.
Exactly.
You can't really give a defendable reason why you rape.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Listen and Believe is such an appealing concept, because if you support someone, like you said, if you look at the evidence and say, hey, there's not enough evidence, I don't necessarily believe this person's a rapist, but then something comes out and they did do it, then you're like, oh my God, I just defended a rapist and I was like totally suckered in by a rapist. That kind of makes you feel a little scummy, doesn't it? But then if you go on the other side, the accuser, then if it turns out they were lying, you defended a liar, and that doesn't necessarily feel as morally bad on your particular side. So it feels better to be on the side of a potential liar than it does a potential rapist.
I suppose, but at least with my mindset, because I have a strong mindset of innocent until proven guilty. If new evidence came to light that had definitive proof that someone was a rapist, then I can just say, yes, I did defend them, but with this evidence, there's no reason, because there is no reason of a doubt, kind of thing. I can see where the common folk who have slightly weaker will, I don't want to say a slightly weaker will, but where people just kind of glance at stuff and when it's important, they'll pay attention kind of stuff. I can see how that's their reaction.
Well, I kind of got this sort of mindset kind of got me thinking because of the whole Cosby thing. And until he confessed, I basically said there wasn't enough evidence to really, so I don't really believe he did it because I don't see it. But then he confessed and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then like other people were like, well, you know, you didn't say you believed he did it, and then it turned out he did it. I'm like, so you're kind of saying that I'm bad because I was skeptical and the guy turned out, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so people make moral judgments against you if you're wrong, if you're on the rapist side, I suppose.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me, because I would say this part of my schooling does tie into it. I learned this thing called Halo and Horns effect, where we like to give people leniency if we believe that we like them, and if we give them a quote unquote halo, whereas people who we perceive as bad and we give quote unquote horns, we try to tear down as much as possible. And I feel like the political parties are doing that to each other constantly, and because that's what it really felt like, because this is all Democrat versus Republican bullshittery is what this particular case felt like. And I feel like most things are just way too overly politicized or emphasized for the wrong reason.
Well, that's the thing, is after everything, I'd say, like, if you just strip things down, I'm still a Democrat. But I just have issues with like, on an economical, social level, I'm still a Democrat. I'm still a liberal. But the issue I have is that the Democratic Party seems to be, they seem to be okay with compromising what should be right for society, like basically rights and wrongs that help society function, such as if we consider you ideologically incorrect, you're all of a sudden evil. And I'm just kind of afraid of the Democratic Party right now, because it doesn't seem to stand for what it once stood for.
Right, and as a conservative thinker myself, I can say the exact same thing about the Republican Party. I don't feel like the Republicans stand for anything that they have said they stood for the past, I would say, 5-6 years. If I actually look at it,
they actually seem less crazy to me, but that might just be because I'm looking at things from a different perspective. They look less crazy than they did a few years back. But that might just be because my side has gotten so crazy that everything, like, juxtaposed against it seems pretty normal.
Right. Well, it's not the craziness level that I'm really focusing on. It's just their lack of following through with what they state they want to do.
Well, the problem too is that the Liberal Party has been on such an attack that all the Republicans can do right now is just play defensive.
Yeah. There's no. I don't know really what to say other than I can fully agree, because I mean that's what's going on. The Republicans just have to look less stupid than the Democrats to win at this point, since our lovely centrist parties will never win due to the two-party system we have.
I'm going to go ahead and post our hangout in the chat in case any of the randos want to join, just because I wouldn't mind more people involved. I only have 8 people watching, so.
I mean, to fully state that I'm a conservative libertarian, perhaps give the better idea of how I view things for anyone who doesn't know that about me. So
hello, old friend.
Hello.
Remember me?
You know the corn. You know the corn's better,
you stopped
right?
inviting me onto your live streams. That's what I remember.
I never stopped. I just hadn't seen you around in a while. How have you been?
You stopped sending me links to your live stream, so I assumed you stopped wanting me on.
Well, do you have a Discord, Toglin?
I do have a Discord.
All right, well then we're gonna fix this shit right now. How you doing? What is it, Gruntstar? Yes, I know corn is considered to be the best, but you know what? You can't go wrong when you got good old Nurgle. He's the oldest of the bunch. Papa Nurgle takes care of everybody.
Not wrong.
Yeah, I figured you wanted to join. That's one of the reasons I put the link in the chat.
I was really just listening, then you threw it in there. It's like, you know what? I at least got to say hello for a couple minutes before I go to bed here. So I figured, hell, it's been a while, Toglin. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, I've gotten a little one so far.
Yeah, we would have had a little one come November, but unfortunately, 7 months in, a couple of weeks ago, we found out that we lost the baby, and the wife unfortunately had to go give birth.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That must have been very traumatic.
It was very traumatic, especially for her. I'm doing all right. She's just having some issues getting over it right now.
I lost one. I lost one 2 years ago, and I'm still having issues this time of year because I lost my little one beginning of October.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's not easy to deal with at all. It really isn't. Are you still?
They actually say 1 out of 4 pregnancies end badly, so it's kind of like something that I would assume most women deal with, but it's not as talked about of an issue.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's some women see it as kind of a shameful thing. Like my wife has felt like, you know, she's defective in some way because of it.
That's really sad.
You know, and I've been there for her, doing everything I can to support her. You know, it is what it is, unfortunately.
But no, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's really sad. Oh my goodness.
It's no problem, but that's what's been going up with me.
I wanted to know
Twitter, because you got a link to my Discord in there. That's where I do all my business now.
All right, sounds good. I want to know, since you're on, what is your thoughts of Listen and Believe?
Okay.
It came on, and that's the actual topic. Might as well get back on.
Yes, of course. Okay, what is my ideas on Listen and Believe? Okay. I'm sorry, but you should never just listen and believe. You take what is said in consideration. You definitely have to look at it in the most objective way possible. You cannot look at it from the slant of saying, you know, I'm on a feminist side. And I'm going to use feminism because I knew you guys were talking about the Kavanaugh rape thing and whatever. And whatever. You know what you guys were talking about. But you have to take and look at objectively at the story that is being presented in front of you. And you have to say, okay, where is your actual proof that this had occurred? Who all can corroborate and show that this had happened? And like in the case of, you know, Ford, there was a lot of situations where they just could not find any corroborating evidence to prove it. I mean, especially, you know, it was 35 years ago. But you should never just listen and believe, because when you listen and believe, you're going to put an innocent man behind bars. And that's just not cool. I believe you should look for evidence at all costs.
To play devil's advocate, I know a lot of feminists will then argue that if you've had someone come up to you crying saying, I was just raped, would you be skeptical at that point?
In that situation, no. I would say, okay, sweetheart, you know, we need to go to the police and you need to make a report and you need to do something. I'll be there for you the whole way to help you out. Then the police open their investigation and they take it from there. We have to maintain due process, because if we don't maintain due process, then what are we doing next? We're just literally crucifying anyone for anything. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, in my workplace, it's a very liberal environment. A lot of the women I work with are huge supporters of the Me Too movement. The other day, I ran into a woman that was actually wearing a fucking t-shirt with it on there. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I get into an elevator filled with women, I crawl up in the corner and I don't talk to a single one of them. At work, I barely speak to women because I don't want that stigma of them just saying something and then listen, believe, and now suddenly my career's on the line because this random woman said some bullshit that was not true. We have to maintain the process, and that's how I see it. You know, you believe as far as the evidence will go. But like in the case, chick runs up and says, hey, I've just been raped. She's sobbing, she's crying, she's upset, obviously. Then we need to go see the police. I'll take you over there so you can make a report and make sure that this gets handled. And then you go from there and the investigation can begin. That's how I see it.
Right. It seems like a lot of feminists have the issue of making a disconnect between people they know and people they don't know, because most of the time if someone runs up to you and says, hey, I've just been raped, it's someone who knows you, so you can judge their character a lot better than if it was just someone you didn't know from Adam, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, in most situations, most times when a crime is committed, especially when it comes to rape, a lot of times it's family members and friends, people you know closely that do it, you know? And that's usually the case. And that's why it's so hard to kind of grasp what's going on. But that's why we have due process and investigations. And I can tell you right now, coming from a guy who worked in a very interesting environment and comes from a very interesting background, which I don't want to go into too much detail on here, but you know my military background. I can tell you from the folks I've worked with and the things I've learned from that background, a person's actions, body language, and the way they write and everything will give away if they're lying easily. And there's so many ways to tell. So, I mean, there's ways to figure that stuff out without seeing, you know, the hard evidence, but you always should have hard evidence. And unfortunately, too, a polygraph is not hard evidence, no matter how much we want to put that on people. That's not even admissible in court these days.
Well, no, and if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to the Kavanaugh case, wasn't the woman who made the allegations against him like some sort of therapist, psychiatrist, something?
Yes, she was. And and when I found out that fact right there, that she was a person who understands psychology and therapy, that she's also a person who's had to study body language and the use of it. And one thing that I found interesting, and now I'm going to say truthfully, the website that talks about this, or the YouTube channel that did this video, they're very biased. They only criticize people on the left. They do not ever touch anybody on the right. But it's interesting to watch their body language analysis of Blasey Ford when she was doing her discussion, and then the prosecuting person who was interrogating her too up there. It was interesting to watch that because it pointed out a lot of the things that I didn't notice at first. But once I started looking back at my background and looking at it closer, I was like, wait a minute, that makes total sense now. It does. You just got to look at it that way. I mean, evidence is evidence. And part of that is also telling, you know, watching their language and how they talk and everything. That's another way to tell if they're lying or not. But you got to find the hard evidence to prove that they are lying.
Well, I was also just thinking about that because it makes me very dubious on one of the biggest things I've heard for a defense of that is that she was very credible with the stuff she did remember. But if you're a therapist, then you would know how to make yourself more credible, which I know gives me a bias, but I would be a little bit more skeptical for people trained in how to like make themselves more believable than the average person. I know that makes it a little bit unfair to judge, but it still plays into my skepticism.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And every inch of these stories of what everything was going on with Kavanaugh, you had to be skeptical on all sides. But here's the biggest and worst part about this. When you look at it, and look, I don't know where I truly stand politically, if I'm on the right or if I'm on the left, but I try to stay in the middle on everything. Sometimes I lean a little bit more to the right than I probably should, but I tried my hardest to look at this case as objectively as possible. And there was just too many things that lined up that seemed odd. It is too much of a coincidence that he gets nominated and then suddenly this comes out and it's leaked. And I'm sitting there going, no, that's just weird. Because one thing I learned in my life in the military is once is coincidence, twice is pattern, 3 times is intentional. Now, suddenly this comes out of the blue at around this time, though, and this is something that happened 35 years ago. You know? I was like, that's just so odd that this would come out of the blue like that. And then there was another accusation, and another accusation, another random accusation, and another one. And then you looked and saw that there's so many people that just could not corroborate this, no matter how many people that she even named that just could not attest to what has been done and what was seen. And it was just going, okay, at this point now, we're just dragging this along. And no one's been able to provide evidence. And in that situation, you can't crucify or try the man. You just can't. Otherwise, you're throwing him to a lynch mob. And I've had people tell me, well, he should have given up. He should have just walked the fuck away. I'm like, what if he was right? Well, he should still walk away. Well, why? So now you're proving that if the Democrats wanted, all they got to do is produce some type of accusation and that motherfucker's out and they get their way? No, you can't do that. I think it's great that he fought for it all the way through. And, you know, in the end, he won. But I just feel that there was so much wrong with this. And whether or not Ford was lying, I don't truly know. But the evidence just does not side with her. That's all.
No, I have to agree. And one of the things I find very disturbing, especially with the whole Me Too movement, like going a little bit backwards, is that the mere accusation of something seems to be enough to ruin one's life. Wasn't there even a comedian who didn't do anything wrong and who was basically shamed for a kink?
I think so, and I don't remember who that was. Oh, no, it was that, I think it's a Middle Eastern descent comedian, big time comedian. I can't remember his name. The only thing I remember is that he was Middle Eastern because his name you could definitely tell was Middle Eastern. There was this woman that made up this crazy accusation about something that happened to her on a date, and he kept blasting it down. And I think eventually either she admitted to it or he just proved that this shit did not fucking happen. And it damn near ruined his career. And then you have, you're talking about Chris Hardwick. That's who you're thinking about. His ex-girlfriend came out with all these accusations about him being an abusive ex and doing all these fucked up things and raping her. And so he was suspended from the Nerdist and all of his stuff like the Talking Dead and everything. And then it come to find out that none of it was true because he came out and showed off how it wasn't true. And they were brought back into the fold and allowed to come back and continue their job. That's who you're thinking about.
There's just so many stories with the Me Too movement where like a lot of, like they exposed a lot of things that were messed up, but like about half of the stuff, or maybe less than half, I'll be fair. But they also like accused a bunch of stuff that wasn't true, or like I said, shamed people for their kinks and things. Or, you know, just brought to light things that weren't illegal, just kind of naughty. Basically, everybody was airing out their dirty laundry, and it was just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it was getting to that point, and that's why, you know, originally I was a little bit on board with the Me Too movement in the beginning, but then I started to see that there was too much accusations being thrown around, too much of people just, you know, getting destroyed, like their lives were just getting wrecked, all because someone came out and decided they wanted to say something.
Oh, I also remember where there was an issue with the Me Too movement where if gentlemen were reporting that they were molested or so, people would like start dogpiling them, saying this movement's not about you, not about, even though you're a rape victim, this isn't about you.
That's what happened with what's his name, Terry Crews, because Terry Crews had some incidents that occurred to him when he was younger, and so he so he came out of the blue to say, you know, this is something that's been going on. I had a dude that was grabbing at my package and all this, and they were lambasting him, saying, "Oh, well, this isn't about you at all. You're a man. This is about protecting the women and everything." And it's like, look, y'all just need to stop, because now y'all just acting like fools. I mean, I remember I came out and said I spoke about something that happened to me when I was younger while I was in the military. And I got told by women, "Oh, no, 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 no. You were a man. You liked it because it was a woman coming at you." And I'm like, yo, 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 yo. This was like, I had just gotten married. I had a child on the way. And this chick was a fucking O1 ensign, and I was an E3 seaman in the Navy. You know, look, I didn't want to lose my career because this chick held my career in jeopardy because she wanted to get freaky deaky with me. And I'm just like, yo, you got to stop this shit. My fear was, what if she cornered me on the ship and tried to jump my bones and somebody walked in and was like, "Look, he touched me, he touched me." My career would have been over. You know, I would have been chilling in Leavenworth. But my story didn't matter when I brought it up because you're a straight white man. Yes, I know the joke, seaman. I know.
Do you know the singer Gact?
I can't say I do.
Japanese pop star. Anyways,
that would explain why I don't know him.
Well, pop rock star. He does both pop and goth rock. Go figure. Anyways, he once did this interview where he said, I think he was lining this up as a joke, but he said, "I'm afraid of trains." And they're like, "Why are you afraid of trains? What a weird thing." And he's like, "It's molesters and their groping hands." You see, molesters are okay if they're guys, because if they try and molest you, then you can just fight them. But what do you do if it's a girl? Because if people catch that, they'll think you're the molester. And if you try and push her away or so, you'll end up hurting her. So it puts you in a very awkward situation as a celebrity. So now I'm just afraid of trains.
Yeah, it is. It's a very awkward situation to be in. Okay. I mean, I guess I can tell you what happened. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. When I was on the ship, you know, I was a helmsman, and we had to rotate being lookout and helmsman. And helmsman is the guy that drives the boat, technically. You know, we maintain the course. And she was the conning officer. And the conning officer, she goes and she tells you what course to steer towards and what speed to move up to. And when they do it, they make a command. They would say, steer right to bearing 060 or some shit like that. Whatever. They would tell you this command, and you would have to repeat the command. Okay? And what she did, because she was learning this, she made like 10 fucking commands back to back, right? And I nailed every one of these bastards perfect. And I fucking executed every one of them perfectly because I was a badass. I was also training to be a master helmsman. But anyway, she comes around to the console where I'm driving the helm, and she gets really, really close. Like, we're talking, you know how everybody's got that personal bubble that's like maybe about 1 foot to 2 feet away from them at least, you know?
Right.
She got up in that bubble to about maybe like 3 centimeters away from me. You know, she was like right there, like in the bubble, in my space. And she goes, "I just want to say good job. That was awesome how you nailed all that." And I was like, "Well, thank you, ma'am." And I threw out a joke. I said, "My job is just do what you tell me to do. You know, do anything." And she looked at me, smiled, and said,
"Stop.
Anything?" So anyway, fast forward to later that evening. It's about 2 a.m. It's dark as fuck on the bridge, you know, because we don't drive with lights on, obviously, because we're out in sea. It's hard to see when you have the lights on in the bridge. And every time she would walk behind me, I would feel a snag at my ass. And I'd be like, "What the fuck?" And I'd look over and she'd be smiling at me. And she just kept doing it, right? And then any other time that I ran into her on the ship, like being on the smoke deck or whatever, she would just talk real flirty with me, touch me inappropriately, you know, it's just really touchy-feely and just really weird. And, you know, the whole time it was like, what do I do? You know, not only is she a woman, but she's an officer. She outranks my chief, you know? How do I deal with this? Who's going to believe me when I go up and say, yo, chief, this chick keeps grabbing me. Who is it? Oh, it's that ensign. Wait, what? An officer's not going to grab your ass. You must got an ego problem, Seaman so-and-so. You know? I just didn't know what to do. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And this was all on the deployment. And I was just fearing because it was like, what happens, you know? I got a wife with a kid at home and I got a career that I just started. And I love being in the Navy. I love my job. So it came down to the point where it was like, I got to do something. So I talked to all my mentors, you know, and they were like, you got to say something. You got to do it. You know, if you don't, this is going to be fucked up. You're going to get fucked over and you're going to be the one in trouble if this shit don't stop. And as I was about to go tell my chief, suddenly it all stopped because one officer took notice. It was a Lieutenant JG, an 03, because she was an 01. No, Lieutenant JG's 02, excuse me. He was an 02, and he took notice what was going on and told her basically, if you don't fucking stop, I'm reporting you to the captain, and you're going to get in some shit. It was hard as hell to deal with. I didn't know what to do, and I'm not even going to lie. She was a very attractive woman, and if I had been single or whatever, sure, let's get down and boogie. But you know what? It wasn't worth my career and my life and my family because she wanted to get a little bit of the D, you know? Sorry, I mean, I tried to make that brief.
Did you ever try and confront her at that point? I'm just a curiosity.
No, because I was really afraid. I was also young then. I was like 24 years old, and I just did not know what to do because I've never been in that situation. Anytime it came down to flirting with a woman, it was me flirting with them. You know, I was the pursuer. Very rarely was the woman the pursuant on me, and I was willing. This was the first time I've never had it where a woman was pursuing me in a willing manner and had some form of authority over me. I just didn't know what to do. That's why I didn't bring it up to her. Because I didn't want to feel stupid if, you know, she was like, you're full of it, Seaman Nurgle. You know, you're just full of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, it makes sense. So it was just a curiosity that I had because I can understand why you wouldn't want to confront her on it, but I was just curious if you did.
No, I get you. And that's awesome that you asked that because that's a good question. To finish
Isn't there
what's up?
Isn't there a program nowadays? I'll let you finish the story.
Oh no,
sorry.
Yeah, I'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
I forgot about that too when I was on the ship. But anyway, long story short, what actually ended up happening after it was all over with too, about 3 months into the deployment, my divisional officer got moved to another division, and she became my divisional officer. And yeah, that happened. But I can say one thing good that came out of it was when she got moved to the divisional officer, she always made sure I was taken care of. Not in a sexual manner, mind you. But she always made sure that I got the good end of every deal. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have been able to strike out and become an intelligence specialist after being a seaman for 2 years in the Navy. She had a direct correlation with that. So that is one good thing that came out of it. And what I mean by taken care of, she would always show an extra favoritism towards me. And when people would bring it up, I'd say, look, I don't fucking got nothing to do with that shit. I don't even know.
So she mostly just fancied you?
I guess she did. She, trust me, she still tried to pull some tricks here and there, but just, I was like, yeah, get the fuck out of here with that shit. I just ignored it and started walking around. She wasn't touching and grabbing me, but she would put herself into like some positions that would probably antagonize me if I was not a better man. I'll go into some details later on that. But long story short,
it
that's
is kind of interesting how things can be like construed as sexual harassment, that you can see their perspective, but then sometimes you're like, well, just take a joke, because my cousin was a chef, right? And him and this other chef him and two other chefs were discussing a new menu. And one of the other chefs, she was well known for being bisexual because she dated both guys and girls that worked in the kitchen. And when they were looking over new menu items, they asked her opinion, and she said, I don't know, I could go either way on it. And my cousin said, oh, we've heard that about you. And like all three of them had a chuckle. And then apparently the next day she talked to the owner of the restaurant and actually reported him for that, saying that was a very offensive comment, which I can kind of see her opinion on it, like her perspective, but I can also say I think she went too far because he was just trying to lighten the mood, you know?
Yeah, and it can be construed in that way. And you know what? That's why at work I'm very cautious about the words I say to people, especially when I'm having, water cooler talk and just goofing around. I got to watch what I say sometimes because anything can be misconstrued. Like, I had a dude, I was just joking around with him. He's an older gentleman. He's like, oh, I go to bed around 7 or 8 o'clock. I said, oh, yeah, that's just because you're old. And I chuckled, and he looked at me. He's like, you motherfucker. But he took it as a joke. But some people would get very fucking insulted over something like that.
Yeah, I think that, is this a new thing, or has this been around forever? Because it seems like people are a lot more touchy and easily insulted nowadays.
I feel like it's a development that's been growing for the past generation. I don't know what would be the keystone for why people have been more sensitive. A lot of people say it's because people don't get disciplined enough nowadays, and I can kind of see that. I think people are a little too spoiled comparatively.
Honestly, okay. If you notice, those that are older, the older individuals, they're not as many of them. But when you look at it, this millennial generation, this young generation out there, these folks, they are running wild with this stuff. And I do think it's because of a lack of discipline and a lack of proper teaching when they were growing up. Here's the thing. What you're seeing, in my opinion, is literally the result of the teddy bear generations. This is the and that's what I'm going to call it this. This is the generation that's told by mommy and daddy, you're always a winner, Billy. You never lose. You're always winning. This is the generation that goes to school we don't have failing grades here. Everybody passes. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You are always a passing person. No failures in this class. Here's a trophy for just doing your job. That's the kind of crowd we're seeing. And unfortunately, that's not teaching people for life. That's not teaching someone to understand the real world. They're not getting the idea that, oh, shit, when I go to work, my boss is going to yell at me if I don't do anything all fucking day. And they don't understand how to deal with this because adversity is in their face and they don't know what to do because they've never been taught what it's like to deal with failing, what it's like to deal with adversity. And this is the deal. The greatest teacher in human civilization is failure. It always will be, and it always has been. Failure and pain. Why? Because you don't want to feel that feeling of failure again. You don't want to feel the pain again. So you try harder and harder. But if you remove that failure and that pain element, why are you trying?
That actually reminds me of something. I had a discussion with one of my feminist friends on Facebook because that's the only social media I use. And no one can look at it because it's my personal Facebook. But anyway, we were talking. She asked me what I would consider like sexism in the Western world. And I said, I think feminism is actually bringing about a lot of the sexism because it's reinforcing the soft bigotry of low expectations, because more and more feminists are demanding lower expectations of women, which I think is just making us not as accountable and not strive for harder. So I think in general, it's making women worse overall. Like, we don't get punished as bad for doing the same crime. We're not as expected to do as much work. Because I remember when I was working at McDonald's quite a few years ago, there was this one girl was asked to put the ice in the smoothie machine, and she loaded up the ice, and she's like, "It's so heavy. Can someone help me? It's so heavy." I was walking by doing something else. In fact, I even think I had a bucket of something else in my hand, and I just grabbed the ice from her and loaded in the smoothie machine, and all the guys laughed at her because they were about to help her, but then another girl just took it over. But you see, that's the thing. If you're a guy, you can't just like say, "Oh my God, this ice is so heavy, I can't put it in the smoothie machine, even though that's my job." You know what I mean? Like, feminism is encouraging even lower standards for girls, and that's why we're not succeeding. And I think it's ultimately hurting us.
Funnily enough, as we were talking about a lot of this, a hashtag called Him Too popped up.
Him Too?
Him Too on Twitter. Like a hashtag called Him Too just popped up. It looks like there's a lot of memes going on in it too, but it also looks like some people are actually putting some actual shit into it as well, including your gentleman Brock Turner came up in here too. But I think it's weird. I just thought it was kind of odd how we were talking about it in this Him Too thing popped up. But no, I saw that a lot in the Navy. You know, these female sailors were like, "Oh, don't do that." And I'm sitting there going, I'm like, "Please, chick, please." I saw a chick that was 5'4". Fucking, she had to weigh at least 95 pounds sopping wet. Pick up just a huge chunk of the fucking anchor chain and move it. Don't fucking tell me that a chick can't fucking lift shit. Don't tell me a chick can't handle her own. But, you know, I do see that there are some women that do need help, and when they wanted to ask for it, that's fine. It's just, you shouldn't be relying on your femininity just to get you through life. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't. You need to learn how to do things on your own, and I agree. I think feminism in recent times has just done nothing but reinforce literal sexism, and it's reinforced it against men, and it has made men more sexist toward women because now they're going, "I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to touch you. I don't even want to fucking be in the same room with you now." You know, my wife has issues finding a job because she was working in the IT field. She can't find a job because men, like employers, will not take a chance because they're scared that she's going to cause problems because she's a woman.
Damn.
I've never heard about that, but that's an interesting issue because I could actually see that happening. One of the things I've also noticed is not just the heavy things, but you know how it's sexist to tell a woman to smile. I remember watching this YouTube video where this one feminist was working retail, and she said she found it offensive because her boss and everybody else kept telling her to smile. And I'm like, "Oh my God, you are a dumb bitch. Smiling is what your job is. You're working retail. That is your job. That's what you do. You have one job, and that's to be nice to random people."
I can't fucking stand that. It's like, you work retail. You're supposed to smile, nod, and say, "Hey, how you doing today?" And I understand. Look, if you're an introvert and you're very antisocial, you should not be working a retail job. If you got to get minimum wage, then you need to go pick up a position being, I don't know, custodial worker, or go work as, and I'm not saying this to be sexist at all, but go work as a cook in a fucking restaurant where you're not around people. That's what you need to do. But unfortunately,
dishwasher, something, yeah.
Unfortunately, when you're retail, you're goddamn going to fucking work with seeing and talking to people. It's it took me a while to come out of my shell when I was working that shit because I was very introverted, especially before I went into the military. You would look at, how could I, the metalhead who performed shows in front of hundreds of people in a band, be a fucking introvert? Well, I fucking was. I had to learn how to come out of my shell. It was not easy, but I did.
I want to quickly interject here with the whole cook thing. Since I have worked in a restaurant before, I will say cooks are the authority of the kitchen. That's why you don't fuck with the cooks.
Oh, hell.
Especially if you're another employee, because if you want to eat, you want them to make your food right, you don't fuck with them.
Oh, hell no. I never understood people when they come in screeching and hollering at people, and I'm like, you realize you're about to get a product that's going to go inside your stomach, inside your body. It's going to go through you and come out the other end later. You realize there's all sorts of nasty things I and these cooks could do to that food that you ordered because you want to be an asshole to me. True fact.
Yeah,
always
don't mess with the cook.
Oh, hell nah.
Actually, it's funny is my husband's always telling people the reason he married me is because I can cook.
No, reason I married my wife, she could fuck like an animal. I'm kidding.
You picked the wrong chaos god.
Look, even I, Papa Nurgle, chaos god of death and disease, needs a little bit of action and a little desires fulfilled. He does it all for me.
Would Slaanesh bend to this? I have to say probably Slaanesh would fuck a snail.
Well, I'm pretty cool with Slaanesh. I actually like the guy. If you are having a party and you want that shit to go off without a hitch and be a badass party, you call that motherfucker up right there. He's gonna fix it all.
The drugs.
Yes, the drugs. Gotta love
We've
Nurgle
kind of
would like
gotten to a very
Slaanesh.
weird place where, like, we started and the subject. We're in a very strange place right now.
Well, actually, the whole time that I've been talking to you and the whole night, I've been working on a Mortarian model, actually.
I've been looking after my little one. I'm sure you've heard her fussing a little bit. That's the whole
I
reason.
heard them.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I haven't actually made this a video is because I've been wanting to record, but somebody's teething. So,
that's
Oof.
nuts. I've dealt with the teething baby twice already. I know what you mean. I've been there.
where they just need to be held constantly. I just figured I'd do a live stream because then I could hold her at the same time as talking.
I feel you. You got to do what you got to do. I mean, even though, like, ever since what happened the last couple of weeks ago, like, it's really fucked up my schedule still to where I still have not been able to jump back into my fucking upload schedule. Because I had an upload schedule where it was like highlights of streams on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Wednesday a rant video, and then I stream Thursday, and then Fridays D&D, blah, 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 But now I've got to it's all fucked up right now. But I am getting back into my horror channel. So I am doing that.
That sounds like it'd be fun. I thought about doing, I've been thinking about doing narration videos because people say I have a lovely voice, like doing the reading some things out.
Well, I'm starting to do those too. I've been hitting up Reddit and I'm just like emailing different writers on their stories saying, hey, do you mind if I do a narration of this, and that? And I also do these other videos where I take like a subject, like I have one that's called Mirrors, and I talk about all this creepy shit about fucking mirrors. I'm still working on this channel. There's only 4 or 5 videos on the channel. So I'm still working and building it up. But, I really wanted to get back into it because I've found that when I sit down and start making the horror videos, it's so much more relaxing because I'm not talking about political things. I'm not talking about anything of that nature. I'm not bitching about SJWs and any of that shit.
You see, I love bitching at SJWs. It's like the highlight of my day. I want to do these. I actually would love to have people on that disagree with me but like I can't find anyone who disagrees with me willing to come on, because I know that it's been accused that a lot of anti-SJWs just basically have circle jerks when we do live streams. But I'm like, try getting someone who disagrees with us on. It's very, very, very difficult. I think most of us would like to have someone, you know.
Do you think we could add Steve Shives to our circle jerk?
What's
no,
that?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
He was asking if we could have Steve Shives on sometime. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. But you got to remember one thing about Steve Shives, okay?
I'm already blocked on Twitter.
Not only are you blocked, but you got to remember, Steve Shives is his persona during the day. At night, he becomes Keemstar.
That'd be great if he has like some sort of alter ego.
By the way, Toglin, I don't know if you still use your Twitter much. But,
I do.
I sent you a few things tonight so you can see what I was talking about.
Yeah, I actually check my Twitter quite often. It's just people think I don't use it because I don't actually like post much.
That, and I sent you a link to my Discord, and you can shoot an invite over to this gentleman right here, Gruntstar. Like, I'm sorry, I think I hijacked your entire stream. My bad.
Oh, it's fine.
To hijack it back, just real quick, if we apply Listen and Believe to the Warhammer universe, how do you think each race would take it?
Well, as we all know, the Imperium accepted quite well.
And the Tau Empire, just in a different form.
Don't most of them already do a Listen and Believe sort of policy, at least when it comes to heresy?
Basically.
So yeah, you already got it, but you know, instead of rape, it's heresy.
Yeah, it's something like
that. Look how fucked up the 41st millennia is because they all listen and believe. The orcs listen and believe to some fucking space mushrooms.
Actually, the only reason I know anything about Warhammer is I played the RTS on the computer a few years ago. I've never actually played the tabletop.
Hey, Dawn of War is an amazing game, and I'll be honest, I haven't played the tabletop in a long fucking time. All I do now is paint. It was, I think 5th edition was the last time I played.
Same. I hear 8th is good though, so I'm getting back into it.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of good things about 8th, and plus Kill Team. I'm hearing Kill Team is really, really fun. But I'm just like, fuck the games. I don't have time for it. I mean, I got the 2 kids and everything. My daughter's starting to learn to play board games, and she's caught on to like Space Hulk really well. So I might be able to start teaching her some more stuff because she really likes it. But, you know, I just don't have the fucking time to do.
You know what's kind of funny is that Warhammer is the only time I've actually faced legitimate sexism in my life. Because when I was 15, there was this one guy that like, I would play Magic with his buddies and things like that, and he had like Warhammer tournaments and things, and I asked, hey, can I sit in and learn to play? And he said no, and I'm like, why not? He's like, well, because you're a girl. And I'm like, and girls aren't really into these sorts of things. And I'm like, I play Magic with your friends. He's like, yeah, I think that's kind of weird too. I'd just rather you not, because this is sort of like a guy thing. And that's the only time I've like legitimately ever had that kind of sexism. And I don't know if it's because I was a girl or if because he didn't like me and was looking for an excuse.
Sounds like me. He's just an asshole.
Probably. He's Canadian.
That explains it.
That explains it.
Actually, his parents were in the Canadian military and were stationed up here. That's even how I knew him.
Oh, that's double asshole. Canadian and military.
Yes.
You already know us military folk, we're assholes. You just got a double asshole out there. So yeah.
What's really weird though is you don't even take him as an asshole because he was still polite about it, because he was like smiling and didn't like raise his voice. He's like, well, I just think this is weird, and he was still trying to be all like Canadian about this whole thing.
Oh, never mind. That's triple asshole. He's nice, Canadian, and a military man. Triple. Are we going for number 4?
Well, military
kid. Warhammer 40K.
This would have been in high school. His parents were in the military and stationed up here, like I said.
Okay, and then that kind of adds another element. He's a military brat, so now we're at quadruple. If you keep it up, we're gonna get to a Cinco asshole.
He's like, he's
Cinco.
the vacuous black hole of assholeness.
It depends on what
the universal sphincter. There we go.
I never had any. I've played Warhammer for many years, and I've never seen a situation where, in any game store I've been into, whatever, a situation where a chick was like told, no, we don't want to play with you because you're a woman. I've never seen that actually happen.
Well, I've only seen anything like that ever happen once, and that was in high school. So,
and that's different. You see, I can see that happening to kids in high school because, well, we're talking about, you know, you get my point. You know, I can kind of see that, and I think that's shit happens, but fuck, you know.
Well, you still have kind of the gender war at that point, because, you know, during elementary school and middle school you have that whole boys versus girls, and schools encourage this because they're like, we're having a painting contest, boys versus girls, dodgeball, boys versus girls, and then they always give the girls an advantage because they have the teachers on the girls' side.
Bastards.
Yeah, that makes a little bit of sense too. I mean, I think it's more or less the reason you ran into it with high school is because you're looking at some very immature individuals at that time. But as I've gotten older, I've never seen any issues with women and anything like that. And I mean, I remember we had cases where younger girls, I mean, talking like 14 and younger, you know, that would come to the shop and they would want to learn Warhammer, and we would teach them anyway and be like, yeah, come on, play. We'll show you how to play so you can learn, you know? I never seen really any issues like that, but maybe I can't say it doesn't happen because I guess it does in some places, but I see these stories where they're like, well, I walked in there and they told me I can't be here because I'm.
Hello? You just cut out. Hello?
I'm here.
Sounded like Noogle just cut out.
Google is dead.
What's that?
Google is dead.
So he is. And someone else has just joined us.
Hello.
Hello.
Friend.
Are you one of the randos from my chat?
I don't know how long I was talking to myself, but my computer just seized and shut down on me.
We just got a new person in the chat. Let him introduce himself.
Okay.
Or in our discussion.
I'm just interested. I'm Falsafio, but I have a small. Oh, I hate there's echo right now.
Hello?
I listened to my voice and now it's getting. Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
I hear you.
We can hear you just fine, good sir.
I would, if I were you,
I
go
hear
ahead
my
and,
voice all over and over again. It's like
you probably have the YouTube video still running, so you need to mute the YouTube video itself.
oh, okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, it's so great. It's so better. It's so better. But hi. I'm from Quebec and I listen to your videos. I'm a great fan of you, Toglin. So I was interested by your discussion because I believe that everyone should be open in the spectrum of politics and we should all accept different opinions. And now there's so much intolerance and so much like people are hating each other just because they don't agree with you, and I'm a bit pissed off by that, obviously, because people are like super hard boiled on every single. I mean, people are angry because somebody said the word Nazi or somebody said the word communist, and it's a bit strange, don't you think? Because actually, I believe that everyone should like discuss and be like ap- look at the arguments and look at how you construct your opinion on something, and not just because you are from one gang, and that's just separating all the people into secular teams, and like it fights, and we don't know why they fight. We just know that they hate each other. And don't you think, guys,
Yeah,
that
I think you're talking about how tribalistic things are and how nobody's
yeah,
willing. I think one of the problems is we're putting too much morality in our decisions. So basically, if we're looking at opposition in a moral perspective, we can't even look at the different viewpoints because we've already morally judged them as wrong without actually looking at the evidence, is I think a big problem with such things.
yeah, I was thinking about how we could like get people to be more capable of tolerating other people. Oh, someone just left.
Oh yeah, well, I know Noogle said that he wasn't going to join us for too long because it's getting kind of late where he is.
Okay, okay. It's not because of me.
No, it's not because of you. Oh, it might be because of my baby. She's getting fussy. She's getting very fussy.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're all tribalistic fuckers.
Oh, I try not to be. I'm actually really. I annoy most people in person because I love arguing. I really, really do. It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite pastimes. So I'll go with
Yeah.
somebody who agrees with me and I'll play devil's advocate and try and look at it from a different perspective just so I can argue with my friends.
Yeah.
I think you've even encountered that grunt star, haven't you?
I
what?
have, but it almost makes me sad you don't do that with your. I'm gonna put air quotes around boyfriend to put it polite. He's just your best friend. But-
Are we talking about my asexual lover?
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah. No, me and him argue all the time. In fact, we both really love arguing.
I haven't seen
Okay.
it, but
There's a guy who's really awkward around people, but me and him hang out so much that people think we're lovers or something. And so, because he's kind of borderline asexual, he's not really, he's just, it's hard to describe. But anyways, we've made fun and called him my asexual lover.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Oh, he's just really awkward around women. Like anything sex related, he's like a third grader awkward. Like you say boob and he goes, I feel awkward. So so that's why we call him my asexual lover.
Me, it's the opposite. I'm like the total asshole of saying things all the time and being like, I just said the word boob. Do you mind if I say it again? You don't care? Okay. Okay. No, I can't say some shits sometimes because I just want to be funny around people and just say I don't care about you being provoked by the word tits or something like that.
So if you're from Quebec, you speak French, right?
Yeah. And I can say is the tabarnak. You know us from that. Those words are come from especially from Quebec because yeah, it's a bit awkward because Uh, are you proud of having someone from Quebec loving you?
Um, I don't know. I what an odd thing to say. Um, I was just wondering because you had a thick accent, so I was just wondering if you were
Oh
naturally
yeah.
a French speaker.
Oh yeah. I was a naturally French speaker. Yeah. But I really like you. I like your content, and I want to get better speaking English. But maybe one day I'm gonna like
Hey, technically English was my second language. I just forgot my first language.
Spanish.
Yeah, I originally spoke Spanish when I was a little kid. I just kind of forgot most of my Spanish.
Yeah, but I'm pretty good. I can speak with a Western accent. You know, I'm now. I don't know, seriously, but yeah.
Yeah, the only accent I can do is a Russian accent.
Do you want to have Russian? I don't know.
Well, actually, it's not actually a Russian accent. I used to hang out with these girls from Moldova, so that everyone said they sounded Russian. So I just learned how to pick up their accent, being like, "I'm not Russian. I'm from Moldova. Why does everybody think I speak Russian? I'm not Russian. Why? Why? Why you people think I speak Russian?"
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool from a girl that speaks about politics all the time. I love that.
Yeah, that's the only. I can kind of do a British accent, but not the best. Like, I can do a little bit of a Helena Bonham Carter. Like, all right there. All right then. If you, let me just start again. Okay.
Yeah, it's difficult
Alright,
to have
love.
it.
All right, love. If you don't want, okay, I'm not gonna try again. I'm a little,
Shitty.
yeah, I'm a little shaky right now, just because. I hate it when you try and do something and then it messes up, but I've done my British accent in front of Miss Misa and she said it was pretty impressive. So
Yeah.
take it as you will.
We can all have our awkward moments sometimes, and it's okay. So we should be like totally accepting of that. But I
Well,
mean,
since you're on, what is your thought of listen and believe since you came onto this live stream?
yeah,
And that's what we're supposed to be talking about.
yeah, everyone's angry because we don't talk about the subject. But my thoughts on listen and believe that is that we should always look at the proof. I really think that I'm like your friend. I think that everyone should look at if you have some proof, you should give it. And if the proof ah, colorates, uh, if the proof matches with the evidence, oh, sorry, your baby was distracting me.
I'm sorry about that. She's like I said, she's teething, so been difficult. Yeah, she's a fussy little thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe that everyone should listen to the proof and not always what the person has said. And you can look at the person, and I didn't believe what she said actually, because yeah, she could have been someone just trying to accuse someone and ruin his life. And to be honest, I'm not saying that just because I'm for Judge Kavanaugh, but I'm not for him actually in the matters. I'm just saying that if they have proof, they should give it so that we can know if he's really um
If he's really guilty or not.
yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit shitty in my language.
Hey, welcome back, Noogle.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. My computer took a giant, massive shit.
That's no good.
Well, what's killing me is my computer's telling me all of a sudden that, oh, you're running low on memory, so my main C drive has like less than 10 gigs left, and I'm sitting there going, well, how the fuck do I fix that?
Oh, Noogle, if you're gonna be adding me to Discord, I just have a question for you. Do you play Monster Hunter?
I play Monster Hunter World on fucking PS4 every now and then when I get the time.
So we can't do like Monster Hunter streams. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I've been meaning to get my PS4 back up and running and doing more with that.
Well, I have it on PC.
Then I might just have to buy it on PC eventually. I've been planning on doing that too, because I've been just basically buying everything I have already on PC.
Because, yeah, since I'm a gamer, I've been thinking some gaming streams might actually be fun. I don't know if I'll set up a separate channel or how people feel about that, or maybe just say, hey, it's a gaming stream.
I've been doing some Overwatch too. I don't know if you
I don't play shooters.
I wasn't sure if you were into that sort of thing.
I know that cancels out like 50% of all games, but I don't play shooters.
That works for me.
And do you still play Final Fantasy 14?
I haven't in a little while, just because with the little one, it's just been hard to find the time to play, and the fact that it's a monthly membership thing, it's just been troublesome. So I might get back into it when she's a little more independent.
Yeah, like in 10 years.
No, like, I don't know. I think a lot of parents exaggerate how kids are, because I have a 10-year-old, and like after they hit around a year, they're a lot more independent. They can play solitarily for like an hour or so.
Well, it's more or less it's more or less like, because like I've got little ones as well. You know, my daughter, when she got about 7, actually I'd say about 4 or 5, she became a little more self-sufficient, and we were able to do whatever we want without her. We didn't have to worry about her as much. Same with my son. But now my son, he's 10 years old, or excuse me, he's 11 now. So he hoards the computer for me during the day. And my daughter, though, she's 8. So she gets up in the morning on the weekend. She makes her own goddamn toast and sits down and eats and watches TV while I sleep. So I don't have to worry as much, It doesn't take that long before they're more self-sufficient.
You know what's really annoying to me is mothers of teenagers who act like they're always busy, like they have toddlers. They're like, oh, I would totally do my hair, or I'd totally like to hang out with you, but I'm a mother and I'm busy. And I'm like, your kids are 12 and 15. They can get part-time jobs.
Shit, your kid at 12 years old, you can be like, yo, Billy, I'm going down the road. I'm going to be gone for about like 3 hours. You good? Okay, cool.
But no, you ever notice that the housewives that are always perpetually busy, but you can't fathom exactly why they're perpetually busy? You just know they're making excuses.
Oh yeah. I totally know. But I mean, and I have seen some teenagers though that are not very self-sufficient and are just like, duh. And I'm like,
their
dude,
parents failed.
I'm like, if your kid's like that, you failed him or her, and then slay. Okay. And
well, then again, my son has autism, like legitimately like middle of the spectrum autism, not like very mild Asperger's, but not like I can't talk autism.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually do have to watch him at all times. Like, he has to be in the same room with me, otherwise he starts fiddling with things like a toddler does.
Which is true, which is understandable, because your child does have autism, though. So I have to ask you something. Because Hollywood taught me something when I went and watched the movie Predator. I learned something about autism, and I've got to ask, is it truly a superpower?
No.
I don't know. You'd ask I'll ask Victor what he thinks.
I'm kidding, by the way. I saw the movie Predator or The Predator, the new one. And that was the whole thing was like this kid with autism learned to decipher the predator's alien language, and he was considered to be the next chain in the human evolution. So the predator was going to take him back to their home to extract his DNA and inject it in the others. I'm like, so you're going to take the kid home with you so you can give the rest of your race autism.
Oh my goodness.
That autism.
I'm serious. The movie treated autism like it was a fucking superpower.
There is something really awesome about autistic toddlers, though, is when Victor was a toddler, like, you know how other toddlers are very needy, they need their mom all the time and such? He was super, super self-entertained. Like, autistic toddlers, you give them a bunch of Legos, and they will play for hours and hours. You have to stop them playing just so that they will eat something. But they don't care about people. They're just very, very good at self-entertaining themselves for as long as you need to. You sometimes forget about them because they're just not fussing and not getting into things. They're just playing with their Legos.
Oh, I got you. However, though, Toglin, I really do need to get going because I've got to work in the morning. I want to thank you for letting me come on your stream and hijack it like I did.
Oh, it's fine.
But yeah, definitely join the Discord, and I'll get, when I get a chance, I'll get your roles set up so that you can get onto our streams again, because I know you used to hang out with us all the time. We mostly do a lot of entertainment stuff nowadays. We don't really talk. We still talk about SJWs, but we do it more in the sphere of the entertainment industry nowadays. We kind of walked away from the politics because shit just drives you crazy after a while.
Makes sense.
But you're always invited, Toglin. It was cool. Same with you. What's your name there? Is this Grunt Star? I don't know why I always want to call you. I wanted to always call you Space Runt for some weird reason. I'm just
Space Runt.
You can just call me Gorka Morkin. You know that I play the orcs, so that should be something that's kind of easy to remember.
Gorka Mork works for me. That works for me. I was always a chaos guy, so
noticed.
Yeah.
But my favorite army above the Chaos Army is also Sisters of Battle.
It's one extreme to the other.
Oh, I love the Sisters, man. They're my favorite army. I love painting them. They're just fun to paint.
One day they'll have plastics.
Oh god, I can't wait till they give them plastics. I've got the only thing they've got right now plastic is that Saint Celestine model they did with Guilliman, which I have that. I got a whole list of shit that I've got to paint after this. Anyway, I got to get going. Thank you all again. Toglin, it is great catching up with you. Make sure you hit the Discord so that I can give you your roles and everything and all that fun shit.
Sounds good.
Now, y'all have a good night, and thank you again. Bye.
Good night, Noogle.
My dude. I think I'm going to have to make my exit here as well because I got class in the morning.
Let's go ahead and stop the stream now because we've gone way off topic. Nobody's really watching, and people are probably going to complain about the stream when after it's all over, being like, hey, you guys were on topic for like an hour, then you just kind of devolved into things.
I mean, to be fully honest, what is there to talk about? Like,
well, we were doing pretty good at the beginning.
It's because we had things to talk about, but I mean, it does eventually divulge to, yeah, we all agree that you shouldn't just listen and believe like a sheep.
Right, so. And I think we got everything we needed to talk about early on, and I think most streams do this. They just kind of devolve into randomness. Because I rarely see streams that stay on topic.
Right. Unless they have like a really long topic or enough topics to talk about.
So,
but, good night. Thank you for letting me on your stream.
Good night, everybody. We're closing up the stream. And Alexandre? Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, Alexander.
Oh, Alexander. Okay. Do you want to say goodbye to everyone as well?
Yeah, goodbye, everyone.